Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. State of emergency declared in Rockfort. 2 shot, 1 fatally, Knockpatrick, Manchester. And later in sports, Jamaica reggae girls take on France in friendly international. Thank you for joining us. I'm Janella Precious. Here are the details. A state of public emergency SOE has been declared in Rockfort and other areas within the Kingston East Division. Now it follows a mass shooting at a football match in the Pleasant Heights community Monday evening, which left 5 dead and 2 nursing gunshot wounds. On the western side, the boundary extends in a northerly direction from the intersection of Michael Manley Boulevard and South Camp Road, then continues northeasterly along Vineyard Road, then on to the end of Diana Drive. The northern boundary extends in an easterly direction from Diana Drive to Lexington Avenue, then on to Deanery Road to the intersection of Mountain View Avenue. The boundary then extends easterly along an imaginary line to the shared parish border of St. Andrew and St. Thomas. The eastern boundary extends in a southerly direction along the shared parish border of St. Andrew and St. Thomas to the coast, while the southern boundary extends westerly along the coast of St. Andrew and then along the Kingston coastline to the intersection of South Camp Road and Michael Manley Boulevard. A man is dead and his girlfriend seriously injured after they were shot at a bar operated by the woman in Inverness, Knockpatrick, Manchester last night. The deceased has been identified as 30-year-old Rashane Welsher of the community. It's reported that 2 gunmen posing as customers entered the bar around 9 last night. They then pulled their gun, after which Welsher ran to the back of the premises. He was chased and shot. TVJ News understands his girlfriend was beaten and shot in the abdomen. Now, the gunman also reportedly shot at a taxi carrying the injured woman to hospital. It is believed that robbery may have been the motive, as the men were heard demanding money. Family members are in shock.
We still trying to process the whole thing. Still trying to process the whole situation. Because I never know that it could knock at my door. I know me really feel how other people feel when these things hit them, and it make we just wonder where we going as a country from here.
Now this brings to 43 the number of persons murdered in the parish since the start of the year.
This is really not Manchester anymore. This is just not Manchester anymore. We don't know where this will go from here. So. You're not safe anywhere anymore. And that's just the first and last of it. Now the way I see it, even the security needs security right now.
A man was shot and killed as he and his common-law wife attempted to repair a staircase at Campbell's Lane in Mount Salem, St. James on Thursday. The police say they responded quickly to reports of the killing and managed to nab 2 of the suspects and seized 2 firearms. The deceased has been identified as 52-year-old Donovan Hales. Superintendent Aaron Samuels is the commanding officer.
The swift action of the police resulted in 1 man being held with an AR-15 rifle as he tried to conceal it in a washpan in a house nearby. Subsequent operations led to another man being held and also a pistol being seized in this operation. We commend the work of the police officers, and we want to ensure that we continue to make Mount Salem safe for the residents of St. James.
Meanwhile, Superintendent Samuels is urging residents who may have information that can help them to apprehend the other suspects to contact the police.
I'm appealing to any resident, anybody who has any additional information that can help us to find the other members of this criminal organization that tried to reign mayhem in the Mount Salem community. We're appealing. Tell us what you know. We want to ensure that we continue to see good reductions in St. James and to bring an end to the crime and violence that is plaguing the parish of St. James.
A new report is pointing to gaps in the transparency of the budget process. The Caribbean Policy Research Institute, Capri, released the details of the Budget Scorecard 2024 last evening.
At the start of each financial year, the government, through the finance minister, presents the estimates of expenditure and revenue for parliamentary approval. The annual budget outlines what will be done with the finances of the country over the course of a year in key areas like national security, roads, water and housing. But in its Budget Scorecard 2024, the Caribbean Policy Research Institute, Capri, released data from the Open Budget Survey which found weaknesses in the transparency, participation and oversight in Jamaica's budgeting process. And while the country is at or above the global average,
Jamaica's transparency score of 50 out of a maximum 100 is the same as it was in 2021. And while this is 5 points above the global average, it is below the benchmark of 61 designated as sufficient by the Open Budget Survey. It's below the average score of our neighbors in the Caribbean and Latin American region, and it's below the OECD developed country average to which we should aspire.
According to the findings, Jamaica produces 7 of the 8 budget documents evaluated for transparency. However, only 2 assessed in the 2023 survey received scores deemed sufficient for their content.
Those were the budget proposal and in-year report, which is the central government operations table, the citizens' budget, the mid-year review, which is the fiscal policy paper interim report, and the audit report had limited content. The enacted budget, which is the Appropriations Act, and the year-end report, which is the fiscal policy paper, had insufficient content.
On the issue of public participation, Jamaica received a score of 18 out of 100, which is the average for the Latin American and Caribbean region.
There are 4 stages of the budget process where the public may be invited to participate: formulation, approval, implementation, and auditing. With a score of 0, we can determine that citizens are excluded from participating in the formulation stage of the budget process. There are limited opportunities for participation in the approval and implementation stages, and the auditing stage is where Jamaica scored the most points for participation.
To improve the transparency score, Capri recommends that the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service would need to publish a pre-budget statement to complete the set of 8 essential budget documents. It further suggests to improve public participation, an online submission portal to collect feedback throughout the budget process should be created, and citizens should be allowed to provide input during discussions before the budget is enacted. The Open Budget Survey, OBS, is an international budget partnerships tool for assessing transparency, participation and oversight in the budgeting process of 125 countries. Nakinski Robinson, TVJ News.
And reacting to the report, Executive Director of Jamaica Accountability Meter Portal, JAMP, Jeanette Calder, is encouraging citizens to read the contents in the estimates of expenditure.
It looks crazily like it's Greek, but anybody, if you're taught to do something, after that it becomes easier. One of the things that I haven't seen the IBP Open Budget Survey really addressing is the question of budget literacy. Until citizens really begin to understand the process of how the budget, those 4 stages operate, who the stakeholders are, because you need to know the people, behind those processes, then I don't think the level of engagement that we want to see is really going to happen.
She also gave suggestions on how citizens can get more involved.
Very few countries in the world do citizens get involved in the parliamentary debate and approval. But certainly in the spending and the monitoring, all of those are doors of opportunity for the citizens, Doc. And so I think we need to define what we call engaging the budget.
And it's now time for a break. Stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back. We're continuing the news. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the government is rolling out plans to develop an Institute of Technology. It's part of efforts to improve Jamaica's human resources to increase economic growth.
We recognize that the new frontier of industries, the new jobs that are going to be created, are going to be highly technical jobs. They're going to require a certain level of technical skills. Data science, data engineering, coding, the use of AI, that is going to be critical.
A partnership is being cemented with India to bolster Jamaica's technology industry. Now, this follows Mr. Holness's official trip to India earlier this month.
So in the coming months, you're going to see announced a program where we will be using HEART to create our Institute of Technology. Jamaica needs to be producing between 5,000 and 10,000 persons skilled in data sciences, engineers, data engineers. Because the intention is to make Jamaica the Silicon Valley of the Caribbean.
Now, Mr. Holness was speaking recently at the general meeting of Young Jamaica. He says focus will be on innovation, productivity, and efficiency. More than 2,000 community members are said to benefit from the services at the Adelphi Health Centre in St. James, which was officially opened recently. The new building was funded under the Poverty Reduction Program implemented by the Jamaica Social Investment Fund, JSIF, and funded by the European Union. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says the improvements will significantly benefit both the patients and staff.
This is a 65 million Jamaican dollar project, right, Lennox? So it's not a small amount of money that has been spent here to create an attractive environment. Attractive environment, but also an environment with utility that's going to provide for the people of this community and its environs. And we want to thank the EU and the Poverty Alleviation Program that was devised in conjunction with JSIF for pulling this together.
He says the 24 health centers in St. James, out of 24 health centers in St. James, 11 over the last 5 years have seen major improvements.
Are being looked at and expanded and upgraded and supported. By the way, it's not just about the infrastructure, because under primary healthcare reform, we're adding more doctors, we're adding more nurses, we're adding more services, because primary health care has now been reclassified to, among other things, include comprehensive community health care facilities.
It's now time for the Business Minute.
Mayberry Jamaican Equities posted a total net profit of $211.8 million, with total income amounting to $113 million in the first quarter of 2024. The company says it has recorded significant financial improvements in the first 3 quarters of 2024, despite challenging market conditions characterized by falling interest rates and volatile stock prices. Year to date, Mayberry's total comprehensive income stands at $448 million, a notable improvement compared to the $167 million recorded for the corresponding period last year. Further afield, the UK government will change its self-imposed debt rules in order to free up billions for infrastructure spending. Rachel Reeves said this was being done so that the government can grow its economy and bring jobs and growth to Britain. However, Reeves's first budget next week is still expected to mean some cuts to public services and tax rises. For the Business Minute, I'm Shane Masters.
And time now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, gangs on Thursday opened fire and hit a UN helicopter, forcing it to land in Port-au-Prince in the latest attack in Haiti's capital as violence surges once again. No one was injured as several rounds of gunfire hit the helicopter that was carrying 3 crew members and 15 passengers. The helicopter, which had departed from Port-au-Prince before it was attacked, landed safely. The attack comes 5 months after Haiti's main international airport reopened, following coordinated gang attacks that forced it to close for nearly 3 months. On the international scene, according to Israel Defense Forces, 10 Israeli soldiers were killed in southern Lebanon between Thursday and Friday. 5 soldiers were killed in southern Lebanon on Thursday, and another 5 were killed Friday. Israel launched a ground operation into southern Lebanon October 1, saying it is fighting to eliminate the Iran-backed Hezbollah group. Since October 7, a total of 890 Israeli soldiers and other security personnel have died. It is unclear if the 5 soldiers announced dead on Friday are included in that figure. In Lebanon, more than 2,500 people have been killed and over 12,000 wounded, according to the Lebanese Ministry of Health. And those are the top regional and international stories. I'm Shane Masters.
Now we take another break now, but sports is next. Please stay with us.